can't knock the hustle. And if you gotta get in place, then we gon' put your business on display. Grab a seat with Nisha for a minute. And if you got the goods, we can talk about your business. She know what it's like to make a move independently. And I don't fake it's like that. We've been trusting God like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, we gon' put your business on display.
Okay, we are on. Hey, everybody. I don't know what happened, but technical difficulties. So let's make sure that we are up and running. I do believe that we are. Sometimes the Wi-Fi plays games on us. So, yes, we are live. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to We Work Wednesday. It has been a super working Wednesday because this is my third interview for today. And I just think the time is right for us to present platforms of people we think you should know. So if you are watching this, no matter what platform you are on, please feel free to share. Share. I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, not so much, I'm going to mention my guest in a minute, but I want to mention how 2020 took a turn for people financially in a lot of ways. And I can honestly speak to it taking a turn for me and not really being prepared for a pandemic, being prepared for something that was totally unexpected. I was unprepared, and just taking for granted that your business runs as smoothly as it can, even though I'm in the latter part of my career. But I literally have to say that today is more fitting than ever to get your money right. And that's what we put in the description, get your money right. And that taught me something so phenomenal. Many times me and Wes have been through ups and downs with finances and different things like that. And we've recovered over and over and over again, especially with me being self-employed, opening businesses and closing businesses, and not really knowing when the winds of time will change. However, it is good to be prepared. So today, my honored guest this evening is none other than Blake Evans. Hello, Blake.
Hey, Nisha. So very, very happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. And so we're going to dive right in. But I'm first of all honored to have Blake because he's married to one of my bonus, I'm going to call her bonus extended family members. And so grateful that God just chose a very distinguished man of God to be her husband, but also he got the prize too. And I know he knows that. And he's married to the beautiful Carmen Evans, and they have a son and one on the way, right? So introduce yourself, Blake, and tell us a little bit about your background, what you do currently, and then also mention to why we're here today about getting your money right.
All right. Thanks so much, Nisha. Again, you kind of led the way already. I am a husband. I'm married to my beautiful wife. I call her my bride, Carmen. We've been married going on 7 years this year. We have a son named Blake Jr., and we have a new son coming in at the end of May. So we've been busy during quarantine, I like to say.
Okay. Come on, quarantine babies.
And so by day, I'm actually a healthcare consultant. I've been in the healthcare industry pretty much my entire career. I work for the 8th largest accounting firm in the U.S. As a healthcare consultant. And then by night and on the weekends and any other time I can do it, I'm a personal finance coach.
Okay. All right. So you started the personal financing coaching when?
Yeah. So it was actually, let me go back. It actually started around December of 2019.
Okay.
And it's so interesting you kind of led with the fact that we just came through the pandemic and we're still going through it now.
Right.
But it's almost like God was preparing me to be prepared to help people during this time. And so back in December of 2019, I'm working a full-time job. Everything is going well, but I kept going through these things where I just could not sleep at night. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I ended up, prayed about it, thought about it, and it came to me that I need to be doing something more, not different, but something more. And so I'll kind of talk through probably at some point kind of the fact that I've been coaching people for a number of years as a, kind of leader within organizations, things like that. But my wife and I, we actually paid off over $75,000 worth of debt when we first got married. And so as I kept thinking about, okay, what am I gifted at? What am I good at? What can I do? It really just came to me to combine that gift and experience of coaching with the gift and experience of taking care of your money and managing money. And in December 2019, I actually became certified, went through a certification program through the Dave Ramsey program
Yes.
as a certified coach. And then I launched my business actually in May.
Wow.
Officially.
Okay. So let's go backwards a little bit. How long have you and Carmen been married?
It's going to be 7 years this year going into it.
So you said the after the first year of marriage?
No, actually, I'll be honest. When we went to Hawaii for our honeymoon,
Okay.
and we're sitting at the Ritz-Carlton in Hawaii. I was traveling at that time too as a consultant, so we had a lot of bonus points. So we were at the Ritz-Carlton, and we started to have this conversation around debt. And I'm like, how much debt do you have? This is probably something you should talk about before marriage, FYI. But we did it. We did it.
Honeymoon,
not on the honeymoon, right?
But that really kind of shocked me. Luckily, y'all really like each other, because why are you asking me about debt on the honeymoon? We're in Hawaii. Most people on vacation want to forget about everything on vacation.
I know it. I know. But it was so interesting because I just wanted to know for whatever reason. And I said, I want to know down to the penny of what you owe. And I want you to know how much I owe. And, in Hawaii, we actually made that commitment. We made the commitment to paying off debt and really getting serious about our finances. I always knew that I wanted to have a strong foundation for our marriage. And a lot of marriages, they actually end or are impacted because of lack of finance. That's usually one of the pain points in marriages. And so I knew I didn't want to go down that route. I had a really great example of marriage through my parents and, been married for a long time. And so I just, wanted to set me and my wife up for success. And so we made that commitment. And then fast forward about 2.5 years later, we had made that accomplishment of paying all that debt off, about $75,000 worth.
That is so amazing. Did you all hear him say $75,000 worth of debt? That is like a wow factor for me. So what I want to know is this something that was instilled in you when you were a young boy or a young man, or even through college, that, that's always a goal of yours to be completely debt free?
It wasn't so much debt free. What I used to say is that I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 25. That was my go-to line. It wasn't even so much the debt freedom thing. It was just more so I knew I wanted to be wealthy. It's so funny when Carmen and I got married. My aunt married us. She's a pastor, and she kind of went through the lines of for richer and for poor, for sickness and the health. And when she said for richer and for poor, I said for richer and richer. I just knew a poor was not an option. That's not something that I ever looked into. And so what was interesting is I knew I always had the desire for wealth, but I didn't know how to get there, right? So, and I think that's a lot of times what happens is that, you have a desire, you want to do better, but you don't know how to get there. And so we got connected with the Dave Ramsey kind of podcast group. And what I loved about it was a simple 7-step process that you can go through that anybody can do. And it walks you through not only how to pay off debt, but then on the flip side of that, how do you start to build wealth? And so that's kind of the journey that we're still on. And it's the journey that I try to walk people that work with me, walk them through.
Now that's interesting. I didn't realize they taught you how to build wealth. I guess I really just only was on the Financial Peace University side, where we were taught how to, roll down your debt. And so tell me a little bit about what makes you passionate about, just really helping people in this area.
Yeah, I always say that I really love client testimonies. I've had the pleasure of working with, several clients over the past year, and really want to grow that as much as possible, help as many people as possible. But it's such a rewarding feeling when you hear client testimonials and they tell you how, they started off not knowing how to do something. And then, lo and behold, they, as we work together, they figure it out and the results that they're seeing. And so I think that brings me a lot of joy and a lot of passion into the work that I'm doing. And I think the other thing, just from a cultural standpoint, is a lot of times we're not taught as a people about finances. We're just not. We have different experiences. We know what it looks like to be rich and wealthy, but we don't really necessarily know what are the right steps to get there. So I think that passion for me comes into not only the financial literacy and the education piece, but then also the results that I think a lot of people are seeing and will see if they work the steps.
That's really awesome. I think about what you're saying because a lot of people that not that only they are not educated, but also the fact that I think fear sets in of really, can this really happen? You know what I mean? And so while people are going through this program, what are some of the I guess circumstances you've come across in your coaching where you have had to help people not to have fear? Or
Yeah,
do
you know what? Sometimes, yeah.
let me ask you this, or do you feel like when people come to you, they're actually ready to make it happen?
Yeah, I think most times when people come to me, they are ready for that change. And so it's more excitement than it is fear. But I always, the very first thing that I do when a client tells me, I'm excited, I want to do this, we literally go through a process where we sit down and talk about, well, why? Why are you ready to change? And what are you really trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? And the reason that I do that, because I know firsthand, as you go through the process of doing anything, you need a strong why to go back to say, okay, I'm going to stay committed to this thing because of this reason. And if you don't have that strong why, life will happen, right? You'll get discouraged. You'll want to quit. You'll feel like you want to give up. That fear will sometimes set in and say it's too overwhelming, that you can't do it. And so going back to that why and then stopping to think, okay, what's the next best step for me? Those are kind of the two go-tos that I go to. And that's the thing that I try to share with my clients to kind of help them through those times. Not the initial part, they're excited then, but like as we go through the process, how to stay encouraged.
So everyone has a different technique in terms of coaching, and there are plenty of financial coaches and programs. But what makes you, Blake Evans coaching, financial coaching, what makes you stand out from the rest?
Yeah, I think a few things. I think, everybody is born with some level of a gift, right? I always call it, look at your gift and then look at your gaps, right? I'm naturally gifted at connecting with people and motivating people. That's just a natural gift to me. I think that comes very easy to me. And I think the other thing is, you wouldn't go to a swim instructor if they don't know how to swim, right? And so I think that the very fact that I've gone through the process of paying debt and then and I'm very transparent with my clients on where I am financially, what I'm doing, how I invest, what am I looking at, what's the next thing for me, such that they know that I've traveled a little bit further than they have, and I can show them the way. And so I think those two things, just the natural gifting of maybe coaching and connecting, and then combined with the experience of paying off debt and then also starting to build the wealth piece now.
So here's a question. Do you teach them how to invest even if they're not free from debt? Or do you feel like they have to be free from debt in order to invest?
Yeah, so the Dave Ramsey program, it does teach you to go step by step. So it teaches you to pay off the debt first and then start to invest. I think it just depends on the client. I think every situation is a little bit different. I think sometimes if you're younger in life, it behooves you to go ahead and get started paying off some of that debt, but also start to invest early. Because as you invest early, the biggest thing is going to be that time and how compound interest works. It works well with time. So the younger you are, I tend to lean to the fact that go ahead and start investing. But as you are older, I usually say, okay, let's pay off the debt, because what comes into play is, how much are you paying per month? How much is going out of, your life every month to debt?
Okay. So tell me this, how do you handle people that are, and I'm going off the cuff here, but how do you handle people that are self-employed who hit a major downfall? And so I'll use myself, for example. I'll be transparent. Me and Wes are used to a certain income. And when I say drastic deficit through the pandemic, it was totally different. Now, Wes didn't lose his job, thank God. So we were able to meet, our needs. And I've been doing other things to generate income, using my other giftings and bringing them to the forefront, which cost me a little bit of money to do, but it was worth the investment. But how do you handle people that, their income has shifted drastically and they're looking for, like, what do you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm gonna answer a part of it first, and then we'll go back to what you really asked me. But I think that's why it's so important for us to be mindful about our finances. One of the things I talked about was, we paid off that $75,000 worth of debt. But the other part that I didn't talk about is that we also built up a 6-month worth of emergency fund, right? So if anything were to happen, life were to hit, we have a bucket of money that we can go to and live off of for at least 6 months, right? So that's number one. I think that's why it's so important. I think the other piece of, how do you deal with that? You really have to do exactly what you said. So I always walk my clients through two things, really. Is let's talk about your income, right? Is it stable? Is it steady? Is there anything that we can do to increase it? Do you need to actually sign up for multiple streams of income? Maybe you need to do a little side hustle for a while to get your income up. And my clients love when I talk about the side hustles. I got a ton of ideas to give them. And then sometimes it's, operating within your gift to produce income. So some people, can do that as well. But then the other thing you have to look at is your outflow, your expenses. So when those times when life is hitting you, you really need to be very mindful of what's going out and does it really have to go out. So I had a conversation just last night, and just through that conversation, somebody looked at all their streaming services and saved about $700 just by looking at that, And so, it's all sorts of things that you can do, but you really need to go down with a fine-tooth comb and identify, where have I been spending my money? Is it a necessity or is it a want? Especially during these times where it's kind of like you're having a downturn or a big hit to your finances. You need to take a look at that. And then outside of that, as you spend your money, I call it, you need to name every single dollar. Every dollar needs to have a name, down to the penny, needs to have a name. Because if you don't tell it where to go, your money will go wherever it wants to go. So those are the kind of principal things that I would say for anybody. And it doesn't matter if you're having a downturn or not. I do it now, and I haven't had a downturn. But I think what everybody needs to know is there is hope in your situation. You are not too far gone with your finances that you can't get out or improve. And so I meet my clients exactly where they are, and it's no judgment, right? We all have made mistakes with money. And so I let them know that. But then we talk about, okay, what are we going to do now? Because we can't just, have a pity party about it. We got to do some action, make a change.
Yeah. Today I heard with my interview with Casey Like Image, she said, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
That's right.
And that really was really pretty powerful, because I was like, if it's your passion, then you won't feel stressed or strained doing it. And because you do what you like, and this is something you love and are passionate about, and you do. And I really remember I wasn't passionate about money, because I was like, I shunned going to conferences because I always felt like I never would have enough to take care of things. But after you pay debt off, and then you build it back up, and then you pay debt off, and then you go back, I've been through many roller coaster rides. You learn the tools. As a matter of fact, me and Wes are going back to the financial piece, and we are rolling back again, starting at the bottom and working back up. We back doing it again, but and that's okay. How do you feel about people that have to start over?
Yeah, I think in every situation, especially right now during the pandemic, give yourself some grace, right? Life happens, situations happen. All you can do is think about moving forward. I never, you waste your time thinking about the past. The only thing you're going to do, if you're going to spend your time doing that, try to learn, what did you learn out of that, right? What did you gain out of it? What did you understand? How did you improve from that situation? But if you're looking back to have a pity party, that's a waste of your time. So I think, give yourself some grace, even if you have to start over, and just start fresh. I think every single day that you wake up, God gives you breath in your body. It's a new opportunity to make a change. It's an opportunity to restart.
Yeah, get your money right. Start over, everybody.
Start over.
Okay, so just tell me a little bit about what's been rewarding. Like, if you're doing what you love and you're still working your full-time job, and then you have this business also, as an entrepreneur, what has been one of the most rewarding things that you have seen? I can only imagine what you're about to say.
A couple of things. I think sometimes we work a 9-to-5 job, and there are some things that you absolutely love about it, right? but it's a job. It's not necessarily your work. I feel like the coaching is kind of my work in life in a way, right? It's what I don't want to be as extreme to say it's what I was born to do. I don't know if it's that extreme, but I would say it's something that it brings me a lot of joy, right? It just naturally brings me a lot of joy to help people, especially with their finances. And a lot of times the conversations goes broader than finances and it talks about just life in general. And I'm able to give some perspective that may be helpful. And so that's been very rewarding. I think the other thing that people might want to consider is that a lot of times when you work your 9 to 5, you almost become dependent on that one source of income, and you feel like I can't do anything else. And so this is a kind of selfish reward, but the fact that I'm able to generate some type of income, not doing my 9 to 5, I don't know why it's giving me so much peace, but it has, right? I'm not making millions of dollars coaching, but just the fact that there's another source outside of what I've come known to do or built my whole career around, it just brings me a lot of peace and joy.
That's really exciting to hear. And thinking about that, people saying, well, how can I afford a financial coach? And I'm already in so much debt under my neck and this, that, and the other. Like, what is financial coaching? I know there are probably customized packages on your website or whatever, but where can people start? You know what I mean? If they say, what, I don't think I can, where can people start? Can you give us just one of the tips for where people can start with just really trying to get their finances under control?
Yeah, in fact, I'll give you literally 6 tips that you can start, and I'll give it to you for free.
So hold on, guys. So grab the paper, and you definitely want to go to Blake Evans coaching.com. Blake Evans.
Yep, it's www.blakeevanscoaching.com. These tips are out there for free, so you don't even have to take notes. All you got to do is go to my website and put in your email address, and it's going to be there for you.
All right. So if you are listening, we are Niche's Network. We are here talking to financial coach Blake Evans, BlakeEvansCoaching.com. And he is helping us to get our money right. And he is helping us to reset. Don't be afraid to reset. Don't be afraid to call a coach. Every coach needs a coach. Every counselor needs a counselor. And I know he has a personal testimony from my daughter, Nia, who did a video for him of how and I didn't even know she was working a little extra job trying to pay down some debt. But how amazing is it to be encouraged to know that you do not have to walk around with yokes around your neck. So he's going to give us some tips. So, okay, we're ready.
Yeah. So tip number 1 is you have to decide, right? You have to decide you want something different as it relates to your financial future. And I know it sounds very simple, but it's so much power in just making the decision first off, right? And then it goes back to what I said. Tip number 2 is to define your why. Why do you want to change? What is it that you're looking to do? Are you trying to invest for your kids in the future? Are you trying to buy a new house? Are you why are you trying to do it? And is your reason strong enough, right? So that's number 1 and 2. You first decide, then you decide why it is that you want to do. And then number 3, you need to really figure out where you are financially, right? And what I call that is identify your shovel. And how do you do that? You need to first take a look at your income, see how much you have per month. If your income is unstable, you want to look at maybe a 3-month average to see how much you've obtained over the past 3 months, just to get a round figure of what your income is. And then you want to look at your monthly expenses and look at it through the eye of, are some of these things necessary or are they absolutely necessary? And when you take the delta of those two, that income and the expenses, you'll have an amount, right? That amount could be negative, right? And if it's negative, then you are overspending what you have brought in, right? And that's a problem all in itself. But if it is even $5, even if it's $10, even if it's $100, I call that your shovel. And that shovel is the tool that you're going to use to pay off debt, to build your dreams, whatever you want to do. That delta is what you need to do that.
Okay.
So that's the shovel. Number 4 is that you need to get a budget. I know it's a bad word, the B word, budget. You have to budget. And so that goes back to naming every dollar, right? Really identify, where your money needs to go, such that when you get to the end of the month, your money, you don't look back and say, well, what just happened? You already know where your money's spent. So that's number 4. Number 5, you need to use the right tools. I'll give you a free tool that I personally use, and this is one that I share with all of my clients. It's called mint.com. And it's a tool where you can actually load in all your bank information, and it'll keep a reconciliation of, what you're spending, your income, your net worth, even your investments. It's kind of a one-stop shop to all of your money, and it's a free tool. So that's the right tool. And then number 6 is get an accountability partner, right? If you're married, sometimes that accountability partner could be your spouse. But if it's not, it could be a friend, it could be a coach like me. But you want to find somebody who can hold you accountable and kind of share, here's what I'm looking to do. Here's why I'm doing it. Here's all the things I'm doing to actually achieve that. And can you make sure that I continue to do that? And so where my clients find it really helpful is that I literally walk with them every paycheck, and we go through and we name those dollars, and we meet again and say, okay, we look back and say, what happened? Did you do exactly what we said we were going to do? And I think that's the power of not only getting started, but having long-term success in your financial life.
That is really awesome. So I know we went through all of them, and that's really, really great. And make a decision. What's your why? Figure out where you are financially, because that shovel is going to help you to pay that debt off. And then get a budget, name every dollar, use the right tools, go to mint.com, and then get an accountability partner, someone to hold you accountable, but mainly get a coach. Get a coach that is going to help you lead the way to where you can be. I really appreciate this. It's very interesting. It's like sometimes you need a reminder. I don't care if you're the best financial guru in town. Everybody needs a refresher course on how to really snowball debt or really to see the investments that they need to make for the future. So what advice would you give to someone who is trying to start in your field and coaching, and they say, you know what, I have a gift and a passion for, helping people, get financially free? What would you tell them?
Yeah, it's going to sound really repetitive, Nisha, but to be really, really honest, I think it does go back to that strong why. As you know, starting a business is very, very hard. You'll feel very vulnerable sometimes. You put out content, you got to market yourself. Sometimes people don't always respond to you the way you think they should respond. If it's your only source of income, you might want to think of some other sources until your business, has some feet and some legs and can kind of provide for you. And so I will say it definitely is not for the faint of heart. And so I would say if you really want to get started, you want to have a strong why to start off with. I think it's important to have some level of certification behind your name, either whether it be experience or going through a program or something, but you want to continue to educate yourself on the field that you're in. If you take 6 months of focus and just kind of read books and learned it, just kind of really applied yourself, you can probably be the number one thing in any industry if you just applied yourself. So always be a continual learner. And number 3, I think it's kind of what you said earlier about, if you find something that you really love, it won't feel like work. A lot of times when I'm coaching my clients, we have hour sessions, and that's what we're supposed to be having, but it'll be 2 hours and we're still talking. I'm like, you have any other questions? Let me do more research for you. And so it's something that can kind of drive you. And so that's what you need. You need those 3 things.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. This is a question I ask everyone all the time. I ask it because I think it's the most important question of your entire interview or the entire platform. And that is, what are you most proud of? Because when we find out what we're most proud of, it kind of shares and ignites something in other people to say, you know what, I never thought about being proud of that. But what are you most proud of?
You know what, I'm really just proud of where I'm positioned. I feel like, I'm strategically positioned to be Carmen's husband, Blake's father, my parents' son, my sister's brother, my friend's friend, my nephew to my aunts and uncles and my cousin, So I feel like I'm just really proud to be strategically placed to make a change for the people around me. And so, when I stop and think about it, Nisha, it's like sometimes you feel like, I may not have an impact on the entire world, but I can definitely change the world around me. And that's what I look to do every single day. The people I'm connected to, how can I help change their world? And I feel like I'm strategically positioned to do that.
That's really good. I think about this while you were talking. I was like, maybe Blake should have some type of graduation program where people graduate once they've actually paid. I'm sitting here thinking because sometimes people need incentives.
Mm-hmm.
to actually move forward in the direction they need to. Well, I'm very appreciative to you and my sister friend, your mother in love. She was bragging on social media how she has paid off all her debt, and I mean that I am in awe of that. And one day, me and Wes are working towards that goal. So, but I just want to say thank you so much for giving. I believe this is a God gift to the body of Christ and beyond, because we don't want to walk around with yokes around our neck with just constantly bad credit or a lot of debt. Some people have good credit, and I mean our credit is not that bad, but it doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of debt. So really just trying to figure out how to move forward. So it's really a blessing to have someone that's down to earth. First of all, you guys, Blake will not judge you, and that's the part that
no judgment.
a lot of people come in with a little force, but it's such a blessing. So how can people get in touch with you?
I'm going to tell them, but let me just say just one thing, Nisha. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for the opportunity. Every time I see Nisha on Facebook, social media, she is an inspiration. She is doing so many things, connecting people, marriage counseling. I mean, beauty and just kind of doing so many things. And ever since I met Nisha, actually back in around the time we both started, she started her network and I started coaching. From that first conversation, always been an encourager. So I really, really appreciate you, Nisha. Appreciate the opportunity to be on your platform. And if you want to get in contact with me, I would love to absolutely help you. Just reach out to me at www.blakeevanscoaching.com. I'm also on Facebook, so you can reach out to me there as well. But it's a no judgment zone. Give yourself some grace and get yourself some help. This time next year, your whole financial life could be totally different.
Yes. Okay. Freedom, financial freedom, you guys. Well, thank you so much, Blake. And thank you for your kind words. It's real easy to appreciate you because of the heart that you have for people to bring change in their finances. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. If you guys are not subscribed to Nisha's Network, you see it on the screen. We are very grateful to have been here 3 times today. And we want to say have a happy Wednesday. Happy Valentine's Day to you and Carmen. You all enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Everyone enjoy yourself for Valentine's Day this weekend. And we will talk to you all soon. Have a nice evening.
Yeah.